Hi, my name is Amber. I'm going to be covering the Part Q questionnaire and assessing risk stratification for potential clients. First, I'm going to cover the Part Q and U questionnaire. It's a simple 7 questions, yes/no questions. Then I'm going to cover some additional forms that may be necessary for your client. I'm going to cover how you can assess risk, what risk your client might be at, and some next steps from there. What is a Part Q? It is a physical activity readiness questionnaire for people aged 15 to 69. It's what you would want to give your client before starting a regular exercise program for them. This screening tool can allow you to pinpoint, maybe not pinpoint here on the Part Q, but it will help you identify some potential risks your client may be at for either coronary artery disease or some other thing. This is used by trainers. It's very cost effective and easy to administer. Here are the 7 questions that appear on the Part Q. Like I said, they're yes/no questions. On the actual form, the yes/no, each question has a yes/no box by it, so you just check whatever is applicable there. And you can see they're really easy questions. You would know these things. I mean, your client would know these things. After going over that, whether they had any yes questions or not, I still feel like it would be a good idea to go over at least the health and medical questionnaire. This gets a little more specific, and it even gets into things that the Part Q does not cover, such as like medications and stuff. And some of these things can really affect the physical activity, or how that affects the client anyways. You just don't want to take any chances. You don't want anybody to get hurt. And then there's also the health risk analysis form. I don't know how necessary it is, but it's a good thing to go over because you'll learn a lot about your client in this form. Maybe things that you didn't know before, and you could help them out with these sort of things too. It's very helpful there. So, according to the NSCA's Essentials of Personal Training, the intent of the initial risk stratification method is to use age, health status, personal symptoms, and coronary risk factor information to initially classify individuals into one of 3 risk strata for preliminary decision-making purposes. So that means you want to determine if your client is low, moderate, or high risk for, exercise. Whether they're going to get hurt or whether they could have a heart attack or a stroke or something. I hope that explained it well. On top of all that, especially if your client is moderate or high risk, it's a really good idea to obtain a lifestyle inventory, which is kind of what you do when you go over the other forms. But you can make contact with the client's medical doctor. You can check medical records if necessary. Check what client has done for training in the past. Maybe they've seen a trainer before. See how that worked out for them. These things are really good to know. Plus, making contact with their doctor can set up like a referral thing for you. They know that you care about their clients. They might send you more. It's a bonus. So depending on the results of the Part Q and the other 2, you can determine what risk level your client may be. A low-risk client is asymptomatic or has less than one risk factor. A moderate risk client is asymptomatic or has 2 or more risk factors. I'm sorry, that should be 2 or less risk factors. Medical exam and graded exercise tests recommended for vigorous exercise, not necessary for moderate exercise. Your high-risk client is symptomatic or known cardiac, pulmonary, or metabolic disease. Medical exam and graded exercise tests recommended for moderate and vigorous exercise. And medical doctor supervision recommended during exercise as well. We just don't want to take any chances. To have a doctor there is a really good idea, because in case something were to happen, they're there and they can help. So for your low risk client, their Part Q looks good. Their health and medical questionnaire looks good. They're not on any medications that can interfere with their exercising. Then they are clear to engage in regular physical activity. What would I do with my low risk client? I would definitely find out what kind of exercises they like. What do they like to do? Because then I can base their exercise routine off of that. I really would want to keep them interested. I don't want them to do something like they're way into running, and so I know strength training is necessary, but I'm not going to spend tons of time having them lifting weights and focusing on strength training. We're going to do a lot that focuses on their running techniques, maybe the muscles that will help them, like focus on their leg muscles, arm muscles, core. And we would do cardio, build up their endurance. And also do strength training, because it is very important. Plus it's to stay balanced. And knowing me, I would definitely have them doing some yoga, because you definitely want to be flexible, and yoga is just good for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. Moderate risk client. So they're clear for moderate exercise. I would do some fitness testing with them. I would want to see where they are as far as like their strength and endurance, because I don't want to push them too hard. I know that they're clear for moderate exercise, but like I've said like 2 or 3 times before, I don't want to take chances. But before beginning a vigorous exercise routine, I would definitely make sure they get a current medical examination and do an exercise test. And note that medical doctor supervision is recommended for maximal testing. Submaximal, not necessary, but be cautious. I think with my moderate risk client, I would do the exercise test and I would see where they're at. I would start them maybe a little bit less than what they may be used to. I don't have a whole lot of experience here, but to me that would be a good idea, just to get their bodies saying, okay, I think I know what's going on. I can get used to this. And it starts adjusting and then gradually increase their exercise. And like before, I said for my low risk client, keep doing things that will keep them interested. And if you have to do things that they're like, what the heck does this have to do with anything? Just explain to them, well, if we focus on your core, this will help with whatever. That way they don't think like, oh, this is stupid, and go find a different trainer. High risk clients. Okay. They need a current medical examination. They also need an exercise test, and medical doctor supervision is highly recommended. These clients could potentially just drop on the floor, and what are you going to do? It's really good to have someone there. And you want to know what their limits are. And I think also with having a doctor there that this would be a great opportunity to discuss back and forth what is best for your client. You know, they might have some ideas too that are good, hopefully, because they're a doctor. With my high-risk client, after we do the testing, the doctor there, I would definitely try to keep the doctor involved in what's going on. I would start them slow, gradually working up. I would do more tests, I think, in the future. I know this is not like same day basis, but we would start slow. Definitely want to monitor them, especially while doing like cardio, because I don't want them to drop. Also with strength training, I don't want to start too fast, too much too soon. So definitely track that and just work our way up, and just don't push it that first day. So summary, went over the Part Q questions and my recommendations, also with the medical examinations and the fitness exercise testing I should have wrote. The importance of medical, like a medical doctor involvement with some of these moderate to high risk clients, and the risk stratification and what we could do with each client and each level. So now that we went over all that, happy exercising. And here are my references. Everything was obtained from the NSCA's Essential Personal Training 2nd edition. And I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you.